topics. So it's more of because we all know that SAP made Fiori as a free component as part of the standard licensing of SAP ECC or other applications. So before going into the details of Fiori, I would like to give you a brief on a native application versus a web application which is more based on HTML5. So this should give us an understanding of why to go for Fiori and what we are going to get with Fiori. Keeping in mind that SAP Fiori is already inclusive with the licensing. So coming to the web applications versus native applications, when it comes to the quality of experience, yeah, it is the most of the people perception is that native apps have more quality, provide quality of experience. Reason being, they are quick, and the native APIs that are available within the OS that is given. So all these things that are already inbuilt. So that is how native apps get more advantage from the quality of experience perspective and application sophistication perspective. Coming to the next one, addressable audience, cost per user. When we look at these things, web apps are more cost effective, and also they reach more audience. You don't need to have a specific handheld device, or a tablet, or an iPhone, or an Android phone, or a Windows phone. You don't need to be very specific about the device. So if your organization has a bring your own device policy, it is always good to have a web application or a hybrid application than having a native application, which will be of more costlier for you. So from the technical risk and all the tool vendor risk perspective, the dependencies, because for web applications, let's say you are going to use HTML5, JavaScript, or jQuery, JSON, excuse me, CSS3, I mean to say, these tools are not these are all vendor agnostic, I would say. So you don't need to worry about any technical risks or vendor risks. Coming to the operational flexibility, so from the signals perspective and all, native apps are much better, because native apps gives you they will give you offline flexibility, so which is more crucial in specific circumstances. I'm not saying that this is a universal truth, but it is in a specific scenarios where, for example, somebody is working in a warehouse and they're doing some activities and the signals are very weak over there, so you might not have online capabilities, so probably you might have to go for an offline capable one. So in such cases, the native apps are much better. So when it goes to in this particular table, overall from the development and maintenance and the cost perspective, of course, with certain limitations, web applications have got much advantage over the native apps. When you're looking at a whole overall picture, but when you have specific needs, it should have offline capability, and it should there is nothing like bring your own device policy. It's your organization has an iPhone or an Android phone policy, or iPads, or an Android tablets. So if there is a specific need like that, or a specification, then probably a native app might be a better option. But coming to the flexibility, in future if you would like to change your policy, then the native apps are going to restrict you with that, because you will have to invest again in developing the same apps for the other platforms. So now coming to the SAP Fiori. So SAP Fiori is today we have about 312 apps, I would say. Wave 5 is I would say it's not actually released yet for the general availability. I think last month, 17th and 19th, we had some pre-release discussions happened. I don't remember exactly the number of apps though, but there are several apps that are coming up with Wave 5 too. So which is supporting like HR, finance, different lines of businesses. So these are the this is the concept of SAP, to enhance the user experience. That's what SAP is trying to project with Fiori based design. But I would say it's not just more than a user experience perspective, where you might not even considering the mobiles when it comes to user experience perspective. It is, I would say, Fiori is more useful from the mobility perspective. So we'll see into the details of it a little later. And by the way, if you have any questions, please type those questions in the right side control panel, and James will be able to read those questions for me while we are going through the different slides. I would try to answer those questions right away. If those are longer questions, I will try to push them to the end of the session. Thank you. Yeah, coming to the design principles. So I just mentioned about this, Fiori-based design. So SAP was mentioning that 113. That is the concept. But I would say it's 1113N. Why? So first one is for user. The second one is for the business scenario. It can be from the sale in OTC, like a creation of a sales order or a quotation. I mean the kind of steps, and then coding perspective of it. So yeah, SAP has come up with standard apps. Okay, you might be enhancing those apps, or you might be creating your own Fiori-based apps. I mean Fiori design-based apps using SAP UI5, which is the development tool for it. So you don't need to code for different devices separately. So it is coming from the HTML5. So HTML5 has given the flexibility for us with the responsive design to code it only once and utilize it in deploy it in different types of devices. I mean, I'm not talking about the platform over here. Like it can be a desktop or a laptop or a tablet or a mobile device. Or you might need to mention about how it has to display in the coding itself. You will be mentioning how it has to display. Then comes to platforms. So again, it's because it's a web app or a hybrid app or a web app. It is device agnostic or platform agnostic. It can run on iOS. It can run on Android, Windows, any different Mac. So any of the different operating systems or platforms that are available. So that is the main thing. So coming to the design principles that SAP is following. So the first one I would say is role-based, where you will have different complex applications decomposed into task-based, different task-based. For example, you will have a role like a sales manager, sales rep, payroll executive. So like that, you might have different roles with in your organization. So those roles will have their own visibility, controlled visibility to the apps. And that is the first thing. Then comes the responsive. I have already mentioned about this. HTML5 gives this responsive feature. So the app can be adapted to different sizes, any kind of size, like from a desktop of 15-inch or 17-inch desktop to 4-5-inch mobile device. So across these devices. Then comes to the simplicity of it. So I've already mentioned about that 113. So that's what they call it, as a simplicity, where you will be, you don't need to worry about what we are going to see in how it will look like in the mobile. Okay, what if in tablet, for example, a rep, let's say a sales rep, he was using when he's in office, let's say he's using his desktop or laptop. Okay, on the fly So he's traveling now. So he's having his he doesn't have, probably, he doesn't have a separate Wi-Fi device or a mobile hotspot, so that he can utilize that to connect through either a laptop or a tablet. Probably his mobile is having data. So that is the most of the cases, that's how it happens. So what he can do is, like, he can access the same application from his mobile device, and it's the same thing he's gonna see. So that is the simplicity of usage here, because it is very simple, adaptable for the users. Especially I talk about sales users, because most of the time they will be traveling and they need to access the information, and it should be as simple as accessing it from their mobile device. Then coherent. So coherent user experience, I would say, because that, I just mentioned about that. All the devices, wherever they are accessing it, they speak the same language. The design is same. So it's like common activities. So wherever you see, it's the same thing. Then I would say is like instant value, because it's a low barrier to adoption. The reason being, like, you don't need to invest too much into different platforms, and even from the development perspective, and from the user's adaptability perspective. So from all these things, it provides instant value to you. Delightful. It's more of I would say for emotional touch, I would say, because when they like it, the users, when they like it, they will have an emotional touch towards it. Yeah, unlike SAP GUI, which we are aware of it. So I mentioned about SAP UI5 a little earlier. So let me talk about UI5 a little bit. SAP UI5 is, I would say, simply an extension to HTML5 with JavaScript libraries. That's what I would say. Reason being, it is completely based on HTML5, and SAP came up with additional libraries, like I have mentioned over here, SAP.M library, that is for mobile devices and also for desktops. Then SAP.UI.Commons, which is more for desktops and tablets. So this is like like this, SAP came up with its own libraries. Then this is a simplified architecture, where SAP.M library, when we are using that one, you can write code that can be deployed as an app for a mobile phone or a tablet or a desktop or a laptop. But when it comes to SAP.UI.Commons, it is more for web apps, not for mobile, not for like phone kind of devices. It is more of a web app which can be accessed from your desktop, laptop, or tablet, because it's like for example, it's like your website, a HTML-based website, which you can access it from any of these. But when it comes to when you are looking at websites, there are mobile-enabled websites. Usually, such kind of things are developed with SAP.M library. I mean, utilizing those libraries. So coming to the architecture, you will have your application server. Let's say I would just mention about our ECC. So SAP NetWeaver ASAP app with SAP as the back end, and you can will be accessing anything from the you can use it through NetWeaver gateway, or directly you can consume it through XMLs or OData from the direct database. You can consume it for the applications. So this is how SAP UI5 simplifies the development efforts, at the same time deployment efforts. Coming to, here I'm talking about traditional DBs versus HANA with respect to Fiori. We are not going to discuss anything about the regular HANA versus traditional database. What does this mean, like for Fiori, traditional database versus HANA? Before we going into details of it, first of all we should understand how it is relevant to Fiori. So first let's understand the Fiori's architecture. It's a simplified architecture at a very high level. On the top you have in the internet layer you will have your consuming devices, then DMZ. So this is a typical networking feature, I would say, from the system landscape perspective, for an organization from the security perspective too. So a DMZ, and then intranet, your company's local networking. So in that you can have again devices there. So the same consuming devices, the same devices you can from the internet you can access them through virtual private network too. So like this you have different options available. Coming to the lower level of it, so you have a front-end server which is mostly your NetWeaver gateway, and then at the NetWeaver gateway is going to communicate to SAP either Business Suite, let's say. So it can be ECC, CRM, or SRM, so any of these applications. So that is how you are having the backend. So this is the regular. I would say it's a typical simplified architecture. Here, then where this traditional database and HANA is coming up, as a backend database for Business Suite applications. So Business Suite running on traditional databases or Business Suite running on HANA database. So how it is going to differentiate and what it means to you. For that we need to understand the different archetypes that are available for Fiori applications. So for the first one is transactional applications, the second one is fact sheets, the third one is analytical or smart business. So these are the three different archetypes available. But what is covered in each of these? So in transactional apps are more of your regular transaction based, like creating a sales order, approving a purchase request, or creating a leave request, approving a leave request. So like this, these are different transactions on your transactional systems like ECC, CRM, SRM, SCM kind of systems. So these are the transactional apps, and we will see how these transactional apps will differentiate from traditional database versus HANA database. The second one is fact sheets. So fact sheets are more of like applications from the I would say like from the business operational perspective. It is going to provide you key facts, contextual information, I would rather say. So like customer fact sheet, so where you will have contextual information about a given customer. So like this, there are several fact sheet applications that are available from Fiori. We will look into that a little later. The third one is analytical or smart business. So what is that? This is more of like I would say operational analytics. So analytical apps which will provide you key performance indicators, and operational analytics like sales operations can be different applications of that kind. So in that, how these will differentiate traditional database versus HANA database. If you look at this transactional apps architecture, I would say a little bit. So you have on the top a web dispatcher or a reverse proxy, then a front-end server, which is nothing but I would say for NetWeaver gateway, where you will be installing your SAP UI5 libraries and also UX add-ons, Fiori UX add-ons. Then you have at the little lower level, and from the front end you have the back-end server for ECC or any other SAP Business Suite application, where you will be having OData services. Of course, the actual business logic, all these are already there. So you have your OData services installed over there. and you should have a trusted RFC between the front end and the back end. I mean to say network gateway and your back end ECC or other application. If you go a little lower, you have the database over there, HANA or any database. So when it comes to transactional applications, SAP Fiori transactional applications are supported both on HANA, that is Business Suite on HANA, and also Business Suite on traditional database. So that is with transactional apps. Let's look at the next one, fact sheets. If you look at the fact sheets, okay, on the top everything is same, but if you look at the bottom, it is only SAP HANA. So the fact sheets are supported only on SAP on HANA. So if your Business Suite is running on HANA, yes, you can run fact sheet applications. If it is a traditional database, no. Then probably you might have to go with an option like, you know, HANA as a secondary database, and you can do that again. So like this, so if Fiori is more optimized towards HANA, so I mean, you know, HANA is a revolutionary component that came up from SAP. So SAP Fiori is more focused and more optimized towards HANA. So if you are looking towards HANA and in the near future or later, I would say like investing into Fiori is more advantageous collectively, you know, from the overall organizational perspective. So let's look at the analytical or smart business apps. So again, it's on the left side, it's everything same. So right side we have, you know, we have this HANA extended services engine. So with the analytical apps, what you can do is either you can use a Business Suite on HANA. I mean, like if it is not Business Suite on HANA, you have to have HANA as a secondary database, similar to fact sheets, and you can utilize HANA extended services to consume the applications for the smart business or analytical applications. So this is why, like, you know, so that means both analytical and fact sheets, both are not available in traditional database. You have to have HANA either as a primary database or a secondary database, I mean, say as a sidecar. So, see, I mean, like we just discussed about these three transactional, fact sheet, and analytical apps. Look at the shipment of these apps. If you look at that, the first set was 25 apps, which are all transactional apps. But when it comes to the second set, I mean wave 2, you have only 43 transactional apps, and these apps, it's not specific to ECC alone. These are spanned across Business Suite components like ECC, CRM, SRM, SEM, like that. Then you have 82 fact sheets and 83 analytical or smart business apps. Let's look at the wave 3. You have about 51 apps for transactions. Not, of course, we don't see much increase in both analytical and fact sheets though. But when it comes to the 3, you have a very good increase in the analytical applications from 85 through 138, and then fact sheets about 82 to 90, and of course there is a very good increase in transactional apps too, from 51 to 84. So what does this mean to us? This means to us is like, you know, going towards HANA is going to bring more business value for Fiori. So that is one thing. The second thing is, if you are running with ECC itself, again there are certain restrictions from the enhancement point perspective, you know, and I'm sorry, enhancement package perspective. So from the EHP, 7 is optimized more towards Fiori, because several OData components, they are already I would say like already available within EHP7 with certain support packs. So that is the thing here. So either it is always better to have it on the latest enhancement pack, even if you are on traditional database, running on traditional database, or if you're moving into HANA, so you have only 616 and EHP7. So 616 is already a legacy, considered as a legacy one, so EHP7 only a good option. So if you're moving on to HANA, everything comes to you with very minimal efforts. Or even if EHP6, there are some considerable efforts required to set up, NetWeaver gateway, and then to set up OData services in the back end. So all these things, because those are not coming as inbuilt for EHP6. So if you look at the shipment, like May 2013, we just discussed about all these things. There is a fifth item, July 2014 Wave 5. I don't remember exactly the number of apps over there. As I mentioned that we had a discussion on July 17th and 19th with SAP. I mean, like that was pre-release tests that were conducted during the time. So that was I mean, like I don't remember exactly the number of apps though, but several analytical and fact sheet apps are coming up again. So again, that means again those are optimized towards HANA. So another thing I would like to mention here is like these are different excuse me, I mean, like SAP made these apps as general availability apps. So because the ramp up was completed in June-July time frame, so these are different applications like Fiori on SAP ERP1, transaction apps for ERP1, like this. These are all available from SAP for general availability. Quickly, I would like to show you one spreadsheet, which I would say will probably help you with. So this is the one I would say. So these are about, I would say, I mentioned about 60 plus. Sorry, it's about 40 transactional apps which are relevant to ECC alone. So these particular apps, so if you look at this one, some of these apps are available from ECC 6 SP 15 or higher, but some of these apps, if you look at these apps, these are not available for lower versions. These are available from EHP 7 alone. So this was what I was trying to mention little earlier. So there are about, I would say, this is a little old sheet. So I would say there are about 61 apps across business suite components. But now there are about 84 apps that are available. Then coming to the fact sheet. So all these are EHP 7, of course, with backend as HANA. So that's the catch here. Then you have analytical apps. Again, the same thing. So whether it can be an analytical app or a smart business app, you have to have HANA. So these are, I would say, about 83 apps. So I will be sharing the list of these so that you will have it handy when you're referencing for these applications, or when you're looking for a POC. We will be sharing that spreadsheet also along with this presentation a little later. So prerequisites. From the prerequisites perspective, so I just mentioned about SAP EHP ECC 6, no EHP with support pack stack 15 and above. There are several apps available from the ECC perspective. This is, I'm talking from the ECC perspective only. So from the NetWeaver gateway, so we have several nodes that are available. It is always good to go through these nodes before planning for the infrastructure or landscape design. From so there are about then component GW server. See, these GW server, GW BEP, all these things, these are coming up directly in EHP 7. So if you are little less than EHP 7, yes, you need to consider these things and you have to install these add-ons separately. SAP UI5 runtime. So again, UI2 foundation, like this, several things. These are already coming up in EHP 7. So have a look at the prerequisites before going forward with any of the designs or anything, or talk to your partners who will be helping you, because they already have enough experience with all these things, so they will be able to help you with the guidelines. So coming to the POC considerations. So if you are looking for a POC, if you would like to do a POC before going forward with any huge investments into it, because yeah, licensing wise it is free, that is true, but there are additional efforts involved, you know, in installing the landscape, I mean the infrastructure, then installing the apps, if required, changing the application to make it more suitable for your business requirements. That means enhancements to it, and then deployment. So these are the different things that you need to consider. So before making those investments, you know, if you are planning to do a POC, which is always an advisable thing to do, I would say SAP is suggesting to have a separate front end. Yeah, but I would suggest to have an embedded front end. That means embedded gateway within your existing ECC system itself, because with EHP 7 it is already coming up, or even if it is not EHP 7, you can always install network gateway component on top of ECC on the same instance itself. So that is what I would suggest, because it is not going to make much difference for you when you go with a different different system altogether, where you have front-end application as a central hub, which can be communicated with ECC, CRM, you know, SRM, SCM, different back-end components, because it's all about, you know, creating a trusted RFC between those systems. That's all. This brings down the cost of POC, because you don't need to invest into additional hardware for gateway. So that is the reason why I would always suggest to have an embedded gateway. Then coming to the dispatcher, yes, even web dispatcher too, I would suggest to have it on top of ECC itself without having a separate one for a POC. So coming to okay, web dispatcher, what is the use of web dispatcher? Two things. One, you can use as a reverse proxy for your internet. The other one that is going to streamline, you know, the number of the hits that the exposed surface, I would say. The other one is JavaScript. JavaScript has a limitation of something called, you know, cross-object reference or origin reference. So that is a limitation for it. So to overcome that, you can utilize Web Dispatcher, SAP Web Dispatcher, so that it will combine all of the back-end components into one single platform, I would say, or single URL. So that is how it is going to be accessed. So there is nothing, it's going to be a single origin instead of cross origin. So that particular limitation you can overcome using Web Dispatcher. So that is another advantage of it. Coming to the application consideration, I would say go with one or two business critical apps which will show, you know, provide business value. You know, once completed, you know, if you are coming up with a business case, so if you are mentioning these use cases, so that should be appealing to your business community or executive community. Then coming to the RDS, there are several RDSs available. I did not mention about the details of RDS over here. But
Praveen?
Sorry?
Sorry to interrupt actually. You are not back on the presentation. You're still on the Excel sheet.
Is it? No, I'm showing presentation now.
You still see the Excel sheet.
Maybe there is a lag, I guess. I moved. I think there is a lag probably. How about now?
Yes, perfect. Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure. I think there is a lag. So I've not mentioned about the RDS details of the different RDS that are available. But there are for apps the Fiori apps there is an RDS, and the Fiori I would say FFND, that is nothing but Fiori Foundation. So which talks more about the infrastructure side of it. So there are RDS available. It's better to use the RDS. There is another catch over here. RDS again talks about the best practice of having gateway as a separate separate system. I mean the front end as a separate server instead of having it on top of ECC as an inclusive one. So that is the only difference. But you can utilize the guidelines of the RDS so that the process of implementing the POC will be much quicker. So that is how you can bring down your costs, and you can always talk to your partners who are ready to invest into your cause for coming up with a business case. Of course, it's always about trusted relationship. So it's all about they should understand that there is a value in providing these services, maybe at the cost basis or at a minimal costs. And from your perspective, you should understand that there will be expectation from the partner side too, but they are ready to help you. So that's how that is a trade-off. Now comes to the interesting one. What does SAP's Fiori is free, and but what does that mean to you? How to get most out of it? What should be the perspective? How you should consider it? So if you look at this, with SAP Fiori as the central point, different lines of businesses. You have apps in all these lines of businesses today, as of today, with 312 apps. All these lines of business are covered, and there are about 10 to 12 languages covered, and then I would say more than there are about languages, about 10 plus languages, and then industries, about 4 to 5 industries. I think insurance, retail. I don't remember the rest of them on top of my head though, but there are about 4 to 5 industries that are already covered. So like this, what does that mean to you from the user experience perspective? You know that SAP GUI is not that user friendly. That is a complaint that we are hearing from ages. So this is a very good move from SAP, coming up with a better user experience using, one is Fiori based design and the other one is screen personas. Okay, so which one to go for from the user experience perspective? I would suggest if you are not planning for not planning for an upgrade or to EHP7 or or at least EHP6 or EHP7 or migrating to HANA, probably it's better to consider screen personas, but it depends on the time again, because from the screen personas I don't see much of the transactions that are already provided by SAP. I mean, there are some RDSs available too, but not too many are available. So you will have to spend time creating those UIs. Again, if you are planning for an upgrade or something like that, then Fiori is a best bet. Why? Because the key components, usually the key business processes, for example, either from the executive perspective or key business power user perspective or a sales people perspective, there are key business processes that are already available in standard with the standard applications, and more are coming up. So that is one thing. So people who are going to utilize a limited access to the system, they can access through Fiori. Yeah, rest of the people who are who will be accessing even non-key transactions, they can always use the regular standard way of utilizing the system. That is your GUI. The second thing is SAP is planning to come up with, I would say, offline capabilities. So I was talking in the initial first slide, I was talking about native versus web apps where we don't have the offline capability for the web apps. But for Fiori, SAP is coming up with the offline capability. It is actually planned, planned for Q4, but I'm not sure if it will be realized by Q4 though. But yes, that is in place. So with that, your mobility requirements will be completely addressed. Whether you need an offline or an online app, you are good to go with Fiori. You don't need to worry about anything. So, and you are not investing too much into any application app development tools or anything like that, because you already have several apps which are free. You can enhance those apps according to your needs, and it is not difficult to do that too. So that is another catch here. So the third one, more than user experience, I would prefer to go with mobility, SAP Fiori towards mobility, because that gives you uniform accessibility and access it from wherever you want. That is the business value that I would say Fiori is providing you, more than a simple user experience. I'm not saying user experience is that simple, but people tend to live with what they have. So yeah, providing Fiori, sometimes going back from Fiori to GUI, people might get frustrated too. Sometimes, it's all about adaptability, acceptability of it. Rather, if it is a mobility initiative you are going with, and if you are adopting Fiori, yes, that is the best value that you can get out of Fiori. That's what I would say. So with this, I have I'm sorry, I think something is wrong. Okay, I have completed the session. If you have any questions.
Thanks, Praveen. We have actually one question here. Is it possible to create native apps using HTML5? If yes, will that app be compatible with all platforms? I mean iOS, Android, etc.
Okay, that's a good question. HTML5 in straight, I would say no, but yes, there are options, but that is still not considered as a native app, but it will give you the flexibility of a native app, whatever you get with a native app, because a native app, the word itself says that it is specific to that particular platform, that's all. So but a near to native app, like you can utilize APIs from Cordova, or there are several other tools like that, in which Cordova is an open tool. You can utilize Cordova. Initially they used to call it as PhoneGap, so if you are familiar with that name, you can utilize the APIs from that, and SAP UI5 has already got inbuilt APIs for it. So that is the advantage here. So you can utilize SAP UI5 to integrate with Cordova to get the native functionality, and yes, it can be deployed on any device. I mean to say, like it can be Android device or it can be iOS device. I hope I answered your question.
Thanks, Praveen. There is another question. Isn't the Fiori RDS solutions from SAP really just SAP providing guidance and consulting services to help install a Fiori app?
Yes.
In other words, is it possible to obtain a step-by-step RDS guide that doesn't require consulting services?
Yes, yes, it is there. It is there. There is a step-by-step guide. It is available. If you are not able to find that out, please contact us. We will help you find those details, or we will share you that information with you.
Thanks, Praveen. Any more questions, please? I'll be sending you a thanks note right after this webinar. In case you have any questions or you may need any information, you can reply to that email, and then you can place your questions, or in case you need any information, you can ask through that email too. Or you can contact Praveen at the information which is shown on the slide. With this, I think actually we'll end the session now. I'll be sending you a thanks note. I look forward for any of your additional questions. Thank you so much, and look forward to see you on our next webinar. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.